10-minute clip to all our mad geniuses in Vrindavan. I know when Kusha told me that, I said, anyway. We'll give a copy to Russ and Rita. We're doing a 10-minute separate clip today on the 9 philosophical points of effective instruction. Because many people have asked for the why. Oh, I have a pink one here, Manaji. You may hold on. So all of you have a copy now for the class. Do you all have your magic slates out? So that we can do a nice demonstration for the camera. Don't forget now, you're all on TV. People in Melbourne are watching you. So before you know it, you will be international film stars. Film clip. All you need is the little book and your magic slate. And we're going to ask people not to press on the magic slate when you're writing with something else. Is that okay? Because those slates are not holding up as nicely as I had hoped. So don't use it as a writing surface except with the magic pen. Okay, like if you use it to press with your ballpoint pen and like that. We find these screens are not looking so clean as I'd like them to look. Okay? Namo Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prastaya Bhutale, Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami, Iti Namine, Namaste, Saraswati Devi, Gauravani Pacharine, Nirvisesha Srinivadi, Paschachadi Shatarine. Jaya Sri Krishna, Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita, Gadadhara, Shivasari, Gaur, Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, thank you for coming. Today is the 6th of June, 2014. It's Vrindavan, India. And today, before we start our regular Friday Bhagavad Gita class, we're going to do a special 10-minute class for the sake of video audiences who watch our programs. And this particular class is dedicated to explaining our teacher-learner philosophical concepts. Because our group does things differently from what most people know to be traditional learning or teaching methods. And many people have asked. And in the past, we have explained these as an integrated part of our study. But today we decided to do a very short little 10-minute explanation of the philosophical basis, authoritative basis for what we do and why we do it. Okay? Our group is called Mani Mandala, that you know. And you know if you, from our little study guides that are out on our website. Mani, Mandala. Mani means mine or jewels. Mandala means circles. And we use those circles to make our mind maps. And we also use the circles as an indicator that studying in a group is more powerful often than studying alone. If we study together, do you all agree? Yeah. That coming together is what you call supportive. It's a support group. Studying by yourself is a little difficult. Even in Vedic times, it was recommended 2 people study together, at least. At least, okay? So Mani Mandala means mind and circles, and it all means jewels, because we use colors to show sequence. And mandala, of course, is circles, okay? Because we study in circles in a group. Okay, so that's the point. And we also use TL. T represents teacher. What does it represent? Teacher. And L means learner. We say teacher, learner, because everybody is a teacher, learner to some degree. You all agree to that? You all teach people by your example, if not directly. Indirectly, everybody teaches. Indirectly. Directly, that's a bigger responsibility. And learner, every day. Krishna consciousness is a learning process. Every day, Krishna is testing us. Do you all agree? Yes. Right. It's a progressive process. So everybody's a teacher, learner. And the point that we make is that if there are good ways to teach, right? Then those same methods would be good ways to learn. You agree? Yes. And if they have studied and they found good learning methods, then does it make sense that a teacher would also want to know those? So we go like this. A good way to teach is a good way to learn, and a good way to learn is a good way to teach. So the skills are reciprocal. Everybody agree to that? All right. So that's our concept. Our concept is also to make it what we call learner-friendly. You all agree with that? Learner-friendly, because the whole material world is based on computers and cell phones that should be easy enough to use for the general public, right? The expert computer person may know something intimately, but the general public, they want to use the phone. If they make it too complicated, will the general person be able to use the phone? No. So our program is to make it learner-friendly so that more and more devotees can access the books. Because we do need to know Srila Prabhupada's books. Everybody agree? Yes. So our principle is to use learner-friendly methods, not just to entertain people, but to have the general community of devotees discover methods that will help them enter into Srila Prabhupada's books systematically. Does that all make sense? Okay, have you found that has helped you? Yes, of course, right? We don't have to make it more complicated than it is. We have to streamline and simplify so people actually go ahead, right? They're not stopped. Okay, so learner-friendly. And also systematic. In other words, we go from general to specific. Yeah, we start with the most general topics and then more specific, right? And then you can make it even more specific and even more specific, right? But you start with general to specific. So that makes it systematic, right? We don't jump here and there and there and there and there. Okay? Everybody agree on those principles? Okay, so we'll go over those again. We're all what? Teacher, learners, right? And a good way to teach is a good way to learn, right? And we want to make it learner what? Friendly. So more people will adopt the means to enter the systematic study of Prabhupada's books. And systematic means I go from general to specific. Systematically. I just don't jump here and here and there and there and there and there and there. Because that means it's chaos. So Prabhupada always said you should study my books systematically, under guidance, In the association of devotees, right? That's what we're all trying to do. And scrutinizingly. That means, scrutinizingly means carefully. Okay? So everybody agree on all those principles. Prabhupada writes them regularly. All right, now let's take a look at where our process has its philosophical authority. So here I have a little booklet that I made. It's a little walkthrough booklet that we presented when we were doing a reading program called The Writing Road to Reading. And this program, you notice the word writing, road to reading? This program has been around for many, many years. It's a highly effective language arts program, and I used to teach it in the Gurukula. And the advantage of this program is that it produces amazing results for millions of children. It's based on not economics, it's based on principles, how to advance literacy. The woman who designed it was not into making money. She was a missionary. She wanted children to be able to read. So this method is not one that involves a lot of expensive books, videos, materials. It's actually just one book and a notebook and a pencil and a brain. So her system was the system I had to learn and use. And when I made presentations on this system, which I found to be effective, I would put in this little walkthrough booklet on her program 9 educational philosophical points. How many were there? 9. Okay, so we'll write that. Because this system, there are 9 philosophical points to this system. And the reason she explains them in her program is that people can see there is a philosophical basis for what we do. Just as in Krishna consciousness, we have philosophical requirements. We don't eat meat, we don't take intoxication, we don't gamble, right? And we don't engage in illicit connections with the opposite sex. And on top of that, we must internally cleanse by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, a prescribed number of rounds per day. So we have our philosophical points. So she shows in her book that when you examine the field of teaching, where professionals are trained, there are 9 principles that guarantee more effective teaching. These are principles, they're not details, right? Okay, so if you take a look at your book, and we'll make a little icon for each one. Okay, there are 9. So our first one is that it should be child-centered. What should it be? Child-centered. Right. In other words, we are concerned about the learning of each individual. Now, in this case, you are adults. So we can say student-centered. But the point is, there must be concern for the learning of the individual participant. Everybody agree to that? So your first one should be child-centered or students, learner-centered, right? That we are focusing on the learning outcome, not just on someone who knows it, but the students don't. The emphasis, what does the student know, okay? So our first principle, number 1, is child-centered. Okay, if we look at our chart, again, you go down your little booklet. The second one is, I wonder if I can turn it this way. Okay, high expectations. What is this one? High expectations. Now, we don't mean that it's unreasonable. But you get what you expect. We've talked about this just before this little lesson. If you expect children to behave, if you expect children to be quiet and good, and you train them as such, they will be. All you see when children are not is a lack of training. All of you agree? They're not being trained. You can even train a tiger. You can train a dangerous animal. You can train elephants. You won't believe it. I was in Florida. I saw people training flamingos to do dances. And yet people think, well, I can't train a child? Does that make sense? No. You can train almost any animal. Elephants can do so many things, and you can it's training. And someone says, oh yeah, but that sounds like animals. I said, yeah, but the scriptures say everybody at birth is an animal. Unless you have Brahminical culture, you're an animal. So, and what is the process? Training. Education and training. So number 2 is high expectations. What was number 1? Child-centered. Okay. So our third principle, now again, these are general principles. The details are how we work it out. So the third principle in effective teaching is there should be purpose and meaning. Everything should have a purpose. What's the purpose of Krishna consciousness? To awaken our dormant love of God, right? That's why we follow a scientific process. So whatever we teach, there should be a purpose. Today you've come to learn chapter 17 of the Bhagavad Gita, right? We haven't just come to waste an afternoon. Okay? And today our purpose is to give all of you a philosophical understanding of the process that we use. Do you all feel that's helping you a little bit? Yes, you'll be more convinced. Not that just somebody's a mad genius and I like her style. No, that's not it. Okay, so our third one, it should be purposeful. I'm trying to think what would be a nice icon for that. I guess we should just say, again, maybe we should show an arrow. That there should be some goal. There should be some goal. Okay. Purposeful. We'll put a P for purposeful. Purposeful and meaning. There should be some goal. In Krishna conscious, sadhana bhakti should take you to bhav bhakti. And bhav bhakti should take you to prema bhakti. Otherwise, you're wasting your time. Okay? All right, so child-centered. Second one was high expectations. And the third one was purposeful. You have a goal. You have a goal. All right. Number 4. The next one is high-level thinking. What is it? High-level thinking. So it has been proven. We'll put a little person here again. Let me do this a little face. And we're going to put the little brain up here. Okay. And we'll put an arrow. There are different levels of thinking. It's brain, yes. Memorization is required, but that's low-level thinking. Right? You would need it, but doesn't take that much. And then understanding, that's more difficult, right? If I memorize something, that's good, but if I understand it, that's higher. And then if I know how to use it, that's better. But that's not still high-level thinking. High-level thinking is, can I analyze something? Can I put things together? Can I evaluate? Those are called higher-order thinking. This is called Bloom's taxonomy. So she uses this system, and the VIHA does also. In our study guide, you'll see they will list those different levels of thinking. They will say memorization verses, understanding test questions, application questions. There'll be higher order thinking, evaluation questions. They use that system. So those of you who studied Bhakti Shastri, you have to know it. So she uses it, high-level thinking, higher order thinking. Not just the little kid's a parrot and he doesn't know what he says. Okay? So number 1 was what? Child-centered. And then the second one was high expectations. And the third one was purposeful, purpose and meaning. And the next one was higher order thinking, the kind that takes real brain power. Because you can develop that skill. You can develop that skill. Okay, our next one. Direct sequential instruction. Direct and sequential. Now in our program here, we use overview breakdown method. That's the same thing. We get the big picture, and then we get more specific, and then we get increasingly more specific, right? And it can go even to underview, where we analyze purports. So it's systematic, it's sequential. We don't just jump here and there and there and there and there and there and there and there, okay? We don't jump around. Direct sequential. Okay? Shh, can he be quiet? Yeah. You need to be quiet. Yeah. He needs to be quiet. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, now we have done the first 5, right? So we're going to break this in half. The first one was what? Child-centered. And the next one was high expectations. And the third one was purpose and meaning. And the fourth one was higher level thinking. And the fifth one was direct sequential. Now, the reason we're breaking it up is that over 7 you can't remember much. So 9 is more than 7. So the first 5. Okay, so can you tell your neighbor? You have a study partner here. Okay, tell your neighbor 5 principles that we are now covering for the sake of our viewing audience. 5 of the 9 principles for effective teacher learning. Because you're all learners and you're all teachers, okay? So you've got 2 there and 2 there, and you want to go with Mataji over there? This is Sunita. She's from the U.S. Sunita, we're doing a special 10-minute clip on the philosophical basis for our process here. Because many people have asked us, why do you do the way you do? Okay, so we're going over the 9 points of our process. Okay. Should give you some philosophical strength, because you might just go and people think, oh, this is just a novelty that will wear off. This is not a novelty. This system has been around since 1950.
In fact, I was thinking that where have you got these techniques?
Yeah, no, from a very, this system is in America. It's congressmen, educationalists, all kinds of homeschoolers have verified that there is no system superior. There is no system. Many have copied from it, borrowed from it, condemned it, just the way Krishna consciousness, right? But nothing can surpass it. Nothing. And I personally have used it. I personally had results. This man's child has learned from it. None of us is bluffing. We're not bluffing. And this is, you see, where we're getting our information from authorized professional textbooks. Otherwise, people will say, oh, that's Yashoda, and she's in Vrindavan. And she's got sort of a crazy idea. So we're trying to dispel that kind of an understanding, because it may put off people who could benefit. You know, some people might see that and then they won't get the benefit. This is beneficial.
And it's slashing all the syndromes.
Yeah. Yeah, we have to do that. You have to explain Krishna conscious philosophy. It can defeat any other philosophy if a person's willing to listen. There are some people that even if you present something better, they will still be convinced of another method. But Prabhupada says, well, it's like Bhagavan realization compared to Paramatma realization compared to Brahman realization. If a person knows of a higher level, he can see the relative position of something else. It's not to discredit it, but he can see it's not on the same platform. Because it doesn't presume the same results. That's the point. It's result-oriented. Do you all agree this is helpful? That way when you go to your groups, you can explain to them, and they will be enlightened with you. They're not just entertained. All agree? Okay, so did you all get the first 5 philosophical points? This applies to anything you want to study. You agree? If you want to study some other science, medicine, whatever, nutrition, we have all kinds of people here. These are principles of instruction. They're universal. Okay? Okay, let's do the last 4. And then you know that, and then we'll get on with our chapter 17 today. Okay, so now we've done the first 5, and you all are convinced of the first 5. Okay, now let's do the last 4. All right, this one again makes sense. Multi-sensory. What is it? Multi-sensory. Okay, your eyes, your ears, right? And your hands. When you write, you see, and then you smile when you write. You see it, and you hear it, and you say it, and you write it. The more senses that you use, 2 benefits. The first benefit is that you strengthen what you have to learn by more ways, right? The more you apply more senses, you strengthen the impact. You all agree? If you restrict it to one sense only, you restrict the impact. But if you increase the senses, you increase the impact. So 4 times is more than 1 or 2 or 3. You're getting 4. The other benefit is that different people learn in different ways. What do other people do? They learn in different ways. Artists learn by seeing. Musicians learn by hearing. Verbal writers learn by writing, right? Writers and speakers. And dancers and actors, they learn by the body, kinesthetic. So you'll get in a group like here, you may have a variety of, you don't know necessarily. Maybe you learn better by seeing a picture. Maybe you learn better by hearing a sloka. Maybe you learn better by writing it down. Maybe you learn better by acting it out. But if a teacher includes all of those, that means more children have a chance of learning. Do you all get that point? You've given everybody a chance. Most classes are based on the verbal linguistic. And that means 90% of the people don't fit in the box. Is it true? 90% of the people don't fit in the box. The verbal linguistics are very small percentage. The Narayanis, the Urmilas, the scholars, are they a big percentage? The Nityanandas, the Matsya avatars, are they a big percentage? No. No, they're small. So you have to expand if you're trying to run a mission for Krishna conscious study, you have to expand the base. You all agree to that? Right? You've already seen little tricks are helping. Everybody has this particular propensity. So you try to teach in such a way that everyone learns. Okay, now the next point, you've got multisensory was number 6, the first of the last 4. You all understand why? You understand why? All right, and then the next one, active participation. Oh, that's a big one. That is a big one. If you are active, I'll put it this way again. A person who's inactive, he will be bored and he will go to sleep. Does everybody agree?
Yes, absolutely.
But a person who's active, he will be alert, and he probably won't go to sleep because he's busy. He's busy. So this is a person who's passive, he's static. But this person's ecstatic. Right? He's ecstatic. You see the difference. If people are doing something, they're happy. Do you think Prabhupada could have run this movement if he would have made everybody go to the forest and do Ashtanga yoga? How many of you would be here? He got people cooking and sewing for the deities and doing book distribution and preaching. He got them doing everything. He engaged them. And they were happy. In fact, the few people who did try to sit and chant all day, they blooped. They went back to material life. So static or ecstatic? Which do you want? Ecstatic, yes. That means you should be active. Okay. So that was principle number 7. So principle number 6 was multisensory. Number 7 was active participation. And then the next one, diagnostic teaching. Right, diagnostic teaching. And we're going to put a little chart here. Right, you want to see there's progress. You know, just like you go to the doctor and he takes your pulse, takes your x-ray. He wants to know where you started, so he can tell if the process is taking you up. You went to the doctor. Did he test you? Otherwise, he won't know if he's progressing, if the medicine's working, if the therapy's working. So a teacher has to know where the child is and where you need to get him to be. Right? And is he progressing up? So we call this diagnostic teaching. You're assessing them. Are they learning? Are they learning? Are they going up? Are they going up fast enough? No matter what your group is, you want progress. If you have a 4-year-old, she has a 4-year-old. And if I can tell you I know of 4-year-olds who can read a book, you would want your 4-year-old to do the same, right? If you know somebody can do it, well, I want my child to do that. Why should somebody else's child be the only one? Okay? Diagnostic. All agree to that one. And our next one, that was number 8. And our last one, integrated instruction. And I will put those arrows coming again. If you're a clever teacher, at one time, you can combine many, many aspects of learning. Right? You can integrate. Integrate means I can put things together. You don't have to just split it up in separate little things and nobody sees the connection. So this is called integrated instruction. When we teach our Shastra, that's what we do. We try to give people skills also. we try to give you two things. Integrated instruction. Okay, so let's do the last four. Number 6 was multisensory. Right, I have to engage all my senses for impact. Okay, and our next one was active participation. Right, I'm not static, I'm ecstatic. And the next one was I'm diagnostic. Am I progressing quickly enough? What can somebody do? Can I do it? Also as a teacher or as a learner. And the final one was integrate. Try to combine things so people see the connection. You all agree now on these 9 points? Okay, so we hope that this little tiny film clip designed specifically to show it's coming from, again, a language arts program called the Spalding Method of the Writing Road to Reading. But I really felt it was important for our own students here, but those who now are starting to watch our videos, so they could understand the philosophical premise. So we don't look as though we're just doing a novelty or that it's crazy. That's not the case. It's based on firm philosophical points. Does everybody agree to that after you've gone over this? Okay, can you apply this to your life? Yes, no matter what you do, what you think. All right. So now we're ready to end that clip, and we're going to have a separate. Okay, so thank you very much on that one. Hare Krishna.